2 after 6, and I want to call to order the Town Council meeting of Yucca Valley here in the Yucca Room of the Community Center. And this is for Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, Town Council meeting. Welcome, everyone. Tom, will you report out of closed session for us?
Sure, thank you. The Town Council met in closed session with respect to the one item on the closed session agenda, and there's no reportable action. That concludes the report.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Council members Abel.
Here.
Dennison.
Here.
Droz.
Here.
Schooler.
Here.
And Mayor Lombardo.
Here. Please stand. We're going to have Mayor Pro Tem Droz lead us in the pledge, and afterward, please remain standing. We have Pastor Casey Coleman from the Calvary Baptist Church going to lead us in an invocation.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Remain standing. Pastor. Thank you.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we come before you with gratefulness for another unpromised day you have graciously given to us. We thank you, Lord, for the many blessings you mercifully impart upon us, though we do not deserve them. We thank you for the blessing of life, for the blessing of family, for the blessing of friendships, the blessing of good health, and providing for our physical needs far beyond what we could ever ask or think. On this Tuesday evening, we thank you, Lord, for allowing us to live in a free nation that allows all the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We pray, Lord, that you will remind us that politics, politicians, and policies are not the lasting hope of any nation, but you are. Teach us, Lord, that those who trust in men will be disappointed, but those who trust in you will be blessed. Remind us, Lord, that others will always fail us and disappoint us, but you never will. Lord, bless every aspect of the Town Council meeting tonight. We pray for your sovereign wisdom to guide all the conversations that will arise and all the decisions that need to be made. Finally, Lord, we ask that your goodness and grace might be seen and known even in this midst of a world filled with so many trials and troubles, so that your goodness might lead us to genuine repentance and faith. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Well done. Please be seated. So, proceeding on with presentations and introductions and recognitions, I would like John Barbowski, if I see him in the audience, would you come and introduce the court, the new court of Yucca Valley to us, Miss Yucca Valley.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Once again, thank you very much. On behalf of Rotary, Sunset Rotary of Yucca Valley, I would like to introduce our 2024 Miss Yucca Valley Court. If they would please come up, I would like to introduce Miss Yucca Valley, Rachel Gibbs.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Council. My name is Rachel Gibbs, and I have the honor of being your 2024 Miss Yucca Valley. I just wanted to start by saying how truly excited the three lovely ladies and myself are to be able to give back to this community in the best way that we can. All four of us were born and raised here, and we're just excited to become more a part of this community that has gotten to watch us grow and that we have learned so much in. And I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for allowing Rotary to give us this opportunity to not only be here tonight and learn more about what you guys do for the community and learn what we can do to help you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce my first princess, Mackenzie Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mackenzie Johnson, and I'm Miss Yucca Valley's first princess. I just wanted to say thank you for having us here today, and I'm so excited to be in this program. I can't wait to be involved in our town and be able to help my community in any way I can. This program has been such an amazing opportunity for me, and I would never regret participating. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce our second princess.
Good afternoon. I am your 2024 second princess, JC Bradshaw. I first want to start off by saying I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity, and I'm so excited to give back to our community and learn more about our town along the way. And thank you all for your effort, energy, and love that you pour into our town. I'd now like to introduce our third princess.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Moya, your third princess, and I just wanted to say how I'm so grateful for the opportunity that we all get to speak here today, and I'm so grateful for this entire program and all the experiences that it's given me and the girls, and I'm excited to see what we'll do together in the community this year. Thank you.
Can I get a picture with the princesses and the queen? Would this council like to go up? I'm going to go to your picture. I just want to say what a pleasure it is to see you for the first time up here. You learned very well. Apparently, they give you good training because this was very smooth. Usually public speaking is quite an event and everybody's so nervous, but you handled it extremely well, and I think we've got great expectations for your being involved in all sorts of things in the town, and I know the past princesses and Queen of Yucca Valley have done really well. So we're looking forward to interacting with you, and we hope that it's a great learning experience like it has been.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a picture. So the Yucca Valley sign is in the back. Get a photo. Sorry about the bandage on the ear. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. It's always a good event to see our youth getting involved in community service, and Miss Yucca Valley contest has always been a good addition to our community in so many ways. I remember, I think it was the snow day or something where we interacted with the princess and her court too, and that was a lot of fun with all the kids in the snow day. I think that was part of the thing that I remember from years past. So thank you very much for your participation in that. Okay, along the line of introductions and recognitions, I would like to have our San Bernardino County Fire update with Assistant Chief Scott Tuttle, and he's going to be introducing our new.
Yes,
Go ahead, I'll let you take over.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. Good to be here again. Yes, tonight I want to give a quick update on the fire district, specifically for here in Yucca Valley, and then introduce our new Assistant Chief. So just to start with some call stats for the last 2 months, for January and February. Station 41, well, actually in the town of Yucca Valley, so both stations included. The town of Yucca Valley, we ran 761 calls in those 2 months. Most of those being medical, which you've heard me speak to this before, and most of our calls are medical in nature, and that's why we pride ourselves in having paramedics on every fire engine, every ambulance, every squad and truck. We did have a couple of nuisance fires. We had one structure fire on Bannock Trail, and I've reached out to some of the community members, or they've reached out to me, some of the neighbors, talking about that structure and wanting to get some direction on how to get it cleaned up. So we've been working with the community over in that neighborhood. And then we had 25 traffic collisions. So that kind of rounds out our calls. Station 41, Mayor Lombardo, I know you're before you ask about it, I'm going to preempt you here.
Okay.
So we are still moving forward. The county's real estate service is still looking for property for that station, for the replacement of the current fire station here. So we're still actively looking. I think we have a property, but they're in negotiations, so can't really speak too much about it at the moment. But hopefully in April, Chief Villarino will have an update for you. I know it sounds like we've been saying that for a couple of years now. The Explorer program. The Explorer program kind of fell off during COVID. Without the high schools and without those kids being able to come around, we lost all of our Explorers. The ones who were still interested kind of aged out during those couple of years, so we really came out of COVID with no Explorer program at all. We have one of our firefighters here at the station who's stepping up and taking over that program, so he's recruiting at the high schools. I don't have a good number right now for you, but I know he has a bunch of kids that are interested, and he's working through the application process for them. So anyone in the community or anyone from the council or staff who knows kids, local kids, they can be Joshua Tree, 29, Yucca Valley, either of the two high schools, 14 to 18 years old, good academic standing. We'd be happy to bring them on as an explorer so they can learn what it looks like to be a firefighter. And as the name implies, explore this as a career. Finally, I wanted to introduce our new Assistant Chief, Bill Villarino. Chief Villarino has been with County Fire for 20 years. He started with Hesperia, and in 2004, Hesperia came to the County Fire District, and Chief Villarino came over along with them. The next 20 years, he promoted through the ranks. Most recently, he was promoted to battalion chief and was assigned to San Bernardino, which is our busiest community in the county. So he got a lot of experience running calls, managing fire stations, a lot of people, a lot of really good experience for him there in San Bernardino. In addition, he's been involved in every aspect of county fire. He's worked in all of our communities from Hesperia, Victorville to San Bernardino, Fontana to the mountains, and everywhere in between. He's been involved in committees and teaching our newer folks, getting people ready for promotional exams and getting ready for those promotions and actually doing the job, not just the exams. So he brings a lot of leadership quality. He's well respected. I have a ton of respect for him. You all know I've lived in this community for 30 some years, so this place is near and dear to my heart. I started here at the fire station across the highway. And so I feel like we're in good hands handing over the reins to Chief Villarino. So congratulations, and I'll let him say a few words.
Right.
Good evening. Bill Villarino, like he said, 25 years. I grew up over in Apple Valley, not too far from here for most of my life, and I currently live over in Wrightwood, so a little bit of a drive. Worked all over this county, and I've gained a lot of experience in my 20 years with the county fire department. I love these type of communities. These type of communities support us huge, and it makes my job a lot easier, all the way in all the ranks, from fireman, engineer, captain, battalion chief, and now assistant chief. So I look forward to working with all you guys. I'm available. Big shoes to fill, coming in behind Chief Tuttle, which he knows everybody, so I know if I'm going the wrong way, you guys are going to call him. He'll call me while he's on vacation in his sailboat. So I'll answer any questions. If not, I look forward to meeting you guys.
All right. Very good. Thank you. And you'll be my point man for the new fire station?
Yes, sir. I want it just as bad as you do, so yeah,
Okay,
we'll get it
great.
going.
All righty. At this moment, I want to take a minute to recognize Assistant Chief Scott Tuttle. He'll be retiring at the end of the month. Is that what it was? Yes, sir. So I would like to give you a plaque. Let me read it here. In recognition of his exceptional service to the Morongo Basin, with sincere appreciation for the dedication, commitment, and professionalism as the interim Deputy Chief of Operations and Assistant Chief for the San Bernardino County Fire Protection District. Thank you for your immeasurable contribution to the basin and for making Yucca Valley a safer place to live, work, and play. Dated this 5th day of March, 2024. Let me, come on. We've really enjoyed a good relationship over a long period of time. Thank you very much for your service.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure serving my hometown, and working with the staff, the council, and yeah. I'll miss all the people, but you know, people say when they retire they don't miss the job, they miss the people. Yeah.
Enjoy your
All right, thank you.
retirement.
I think,
Let's get a picture. Sorry.
Congratulations.
At this time, I also want to announce the resignation of an outgoing Revenue Measure Oversight Commissioner, George Huntington, who has been a pillar in our community for many years, served on the council, served on the Planning Commission, all sorts of different areas as well. George Huntington was the chair of the Revenue Oversight Commission, and he has decided, he sent in a letter of recognition. So I want to read this and acknowledge his service to our community. Recognizing the dedicated service to the town of Yucca Valley with appreciation for the professionalism and commitment as a Revenue Measure Oversight Commissioner. Thank you for your immeasurable contribution to our community, dated this 5th day of March, 2024. He was unable to attend tonight, so we'll just have this, the clerk take this and present it to him when he's available. Thank you very much, George. I would love to have some comments about George, you bet.
I am here because of George Huntington. About 13 years ago, he told me, you should apply for the Planning Commission. And I did, and I was on the Planning Commission for over 5 years. And then I ran for the town council sometime near the end of that. And I didn't win, I lost. And then I ran again and I won. And then my second term I ran again. So George got me started. He told me you should run for the Planning Commission. And I was chosen. So I should apply, not run. I'm sorry. But anyway, George is a big inspiration to me and I wish him well.
Go ahead.
Just a
Councilman
quick
Davis.
comment on George. You know, today we were fortunate enough to see the Miss Yucca Valley Court and then our firefighters, you know, the young and those that are retiring like Scott, to build this community. And George is one of those people, and the mayor said it best, immeasurable. He's made immeasurable contributions to our community in many ways, and not just Yucca Valley, the entire Morongo Basin. And it's just something that I've always been so proud of the accomplishments that he's made, and also his wife Nancy, back in the days of just helping out kids and helping out the community and being a pillar and always stepping up to the plate and filling in the voids that he saw in our community. Countless hours with the town. He mentored me a lot when I first got on the council. I wasn't really good at what I did. But he just led me through it and showed me the process and the contacts and how we build relationships. And that's what it's all about. So I'll always be thankful for all the guidance to our community before me since I've been here, and I'm sure the things he's done will last for generations. So thank you, George, very much.
Yeah, I also want to thank George Huntington for all his years of service. He and his wife, as you said, they're pillars in our community. George was a big influence on me, and I've told him and his wife several times, we've had a lot of mayors, but to me, he's Mayor George Huntington, and I always refer to him as the mayor. So he really, I got the privilege of serving with him on the council, and I could just tell by any time he was going to make a comment, everyone was really listening and really open to his knowledge and his understanding of our community and also of the history of our town, and he was really instrumental in guiding us where we are today. So congratulations to George and blessings to him and his wife.
Councilmember Schooler.
Yeah, I would like to echo all of those comments as well. And I always thought of George Huntington as the the perfect council member and a perfect mayor. He was just a really good fit, a really good leader, very thoughtful, very poised and professional, and just what you're looking for in a council member and a leader in the community. So congratulations to George on all of that he's accomplished, and we wish him well.
I also want to comment on George. He was one of those people that was easy to look up to. He was always involved in things, and he did a lot of things quietly. You'd never know that he was involved in it, contributed in many ways to whatever was needed in our community. And I always looked up to him as an example of how to be a statesman. He was always very reserved in his comments, and when he did comment, people listened. He spoke from a wealth of knowledge and experience that it's hard to duplicate in any other way. And him and his wife made an incredible team, and both of them have counseled and been mentors to my wife and myself in our endeavors in this, and we were bonded through some pretty troubling times, and he was a great support to get through some of the difficulties that happened early on in our careers, and I always have such great respect for him and his wife. They're wonderful people, and we wish them the very best in their retirement. So I have a plaque that we'll get to him then, right?
We'll give it to him.
Is there any other comments? Okay. And off to the approval of the agenda. So,
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
okay.
Second.
Got a second?
Council members Abel.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Droz.
Yes.
Schooler.
Yes.
And Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All righty. Tonight's consent agenda. Do I read the consent or?
Before you start,
Yeah.
I have to recuse myself from number 6 because I was not a part of that. That had to do with short-term vacation rentals.
Okay.
So otherwise, I approve the agenda, but maybe someone else should because I wasn't part of that.
Okay. Is there any? Oh, that's good. Is there any other public comments on the agenda? Anybody on the consent agenda from the public that wants to comment? Anything online? Okay. Does anybody?
Mayor, I'll be recusing myself from item 6, but otherwise I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items 5 through 14. I will recuse myself from item 6.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Excuse me, 5
5
through...
through 8.
5 through 8.
Correction, 5 through 8. Thank you.
Okay. Would have been a very short meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Mayor, and I'll second that.
okay. And we have a roll call?
Council members Abel.
Yes, recusing from item 6.
Dennison.
Yes.
Droz.
Yes, with my recusal.
Schooler.
Yes.
And Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. Do we have to take a separate vote on 6? No. Okay. So, on to department reports.
Thank you, Mayor. Your first item this evening is item 9, San Bernardino County Transit Authority Council of Governments Amendment Number 4 to the Joint Powers Agreement and related update. Council knows that as a member agency of SBCTA and the Council of Governments, we often rely on the Council of Governments to help us with providing access to services that are affecting the region as a whole and providing services that we might not otherwise be able to do so ourselves. There's interest in expanding those, and so we've asked Monique Reza Ariano to come up and from SBCTA to come up and talk a little bit about what's envisioned, as well as an update on some of the current activities that the Council of Government is involved with. Monique?
Thank you, and good evening. Thank you so much for inviting me out to give an update on this information. It's a pretty lengthy discussion, but I'm going to get through it as quickly as I can. I'm going to go through a couple of the items that Curtis was talking about, some of the programs that we have currently, what is leading us to actually build capacity and increase the dues and change the due structure based on that increase. So please, like I said, it's long. If you have questions as I'm going through, please interrupt me. All right. And the first thing I noticed here is that it should say Town of Yucca Valley. My apologies for that. I have 2 towns and I forgot to put that on this. So who is SBCOG? We are a collective voice for the County of San Bernardino. We are made up of a board of directors that includes 1 elected official from every town and city, so the 24, and then the 5 county supervisors. We are governed by a joint powers authority, and the goal is to be a strong regional, state, and national partner, but really voice for all of our member agencies. And our funding structure is inclusive of member dues and supplemental program funds, which typically include grants. So why are we important? Essentially, we have several different goals that we try to fulfill, but the main goal that we have is to fill the gaps for the local agencies and work on projects and programs that don't necessarily fit in a neat box that the cities have or the towns have currently. So we work on things like climate action plans for environment. We work together and collaboratively among all of our member agencies to put those types of toolkits together. We do housing projects. We work on active transportation. We do projects within public safety. And I'm going to highlight just a few of them that we've been working on for the last 5 years that really kind of give you an idea of what it is that we do. And the first one is our emergency communication nurse system. This is really kind of the poster child, I think, for collaboration across the region. We worked with our partners at Confire, the dispatch center, and a few other stakeholders that were very interested in implementing a registered nurse program to take 911 calls that were what they consider low acuity, so non-emergency calls. So essentially, a person calls 911, dispatcher goes through the protocols, and if they determine that it's an emergency, they go through the regular steps and dispatch out what they need to. But if they determine that it's not an emergency, they get sent over to this registered nurse program system, and the nurse really kind of gives them the proper level of care, whether that's getting them a doctor's appointment or refilling a prescription or finding them an alternative means of transportation to urgent care. So the whole purpose of that is to really decrease the amount of ambulances that are dispatched out to non-emergency calls. So it really has provided more ambulances that are available for emergencies. There has been a decrease, which has met the main goal. And there have been no negative patient outcomes to date that we're aware of, and they're keeping track of all the data since this program was implemented back in 2020, right as the pandemic hit. And so what we identified as far as the subregions, 13.9% of the calls come out of the low desert, which is what we consider the Morongo Basin area. And this is at 20% capacity. As of January, the program was fully staffed. They just finished training the last nurse, and they are currently at full capacity. So it'll be interesting to see how these numbers shake out after about a year, and we'll bring that report back to the board of directors. We also work on the Inland Regional Energy Network, and this is a partnership that we have with the Coachella Valley Associated Governments and the Western Riverside Council of Governments. This is funded through a charge that ratepayers that pay SCE and SoCal gas rates. There is a set-aside charge that funds this program, and what we do is put together programs, public sector programs, and that includes cities, towns, but also education, anything that falls within the public sector to really help build their energy efficiency improvements. We do workforce training and education in the realm of clean energy, and we are also working on a codes and standards, like a suite of options that any jurisdiction can use and implement within their jurisdictions as it makes sense. We're also working on a Smart County Master Plan, which is essentially a roadmap that will help us prioritize projects and programs for communication strategies and technology infrastructure across the jurisdictional boundaries. So the goal is really to do several things, but really work together to identify where there's gaps across the region, gaps in equity, gaps in the level of technology that they currently have, and to really serve the county and all the jurisdictions as we work to improve technology across the region. We completed a study that was an early action plan back in January, and it included projects that were across the county, and this is the low-hanging fruit. We're working on the full master plan currently, and that will be completed in December. But what we're looking at as far as that low-hanging fruit, the stuff that we can implement quickly, are things like broadband access, smart intersections, smart corridors, really kind of marrying real-time driver information with emergency medical service data so that people have an understanding of where the roads are closed immediately now. And then CAD to CAD, that would be also something that served dispatch. So currently, the jurisdictions don't have matching CAD systems, so dispatch information can change across jurisdictional boundaries. I had no idea that this was a thing, but we are looking at seeing how we can make that a standard program so that the dispatch centers can just send the cars out without them getting lost. And then we're also looking at zero-emission vehicles infrastructure plan and implementing that across the county as well. One of the main things that we do as well is grant assistance with our member agencies. We research, we actually write grants, we help administer grants that agencies, and if there's multiple jurisdictions that want to work on a project together, we can help lead that effort. Since 2016, we've been able to bring in $46 million to the region, 19 million of that since July. And there's one program that I kind of want to highlight specifically, which is REAP, and that came from SCAG, and that is the Regional Early Action Planning Grant. And so the first round, which was back in 2020, we were actually able to help our member agencies by writing housing elements, doing site inventory analyses for the benefit of the planning department. We did accessory dwelling unit capacity analysis. We've done several toolkits for use by the member agencies. And the new allocation, which was 2023, it has several different programs where projects were awarded specifically to some jurisdictions, but we also have a plan to do other things such as housing elements across the region as well. So as far as how the funds have been spread since we've been awarded, this is a look at that, again, sub-region. That REAP 1.0, that's kind of an average, but the other two columns really kind of show where the dollars were actually awarded within the county. So I gave this report to our board of directors back in July. We had the board approve a work plan back in 2018, and that included the projects that I just kind of went through. But the projects were funded by a supplemental fund source that is no longer in existence, which is the Hero PACE program. So when I provided the report, I also provided them a look ahead of what the funds look like. So in 2026-27, when all of our supplemental funds run out, we are in deficit. So if we do nothing, we need to figure out how we would fund staff, which is one person, me, and the grant writer, so one of us probably has to go. So based on this information, the board provided direction for us to work with an ad hoc of the board of directors and identify what makes sense. Are we looking at increasing capacity? What does the budget increase look like? So we've been working with them for about 7 months now, and we took their recommendations, which I'm going to go through right now, to the board, and they approved everything. So based on, again, this is all of the information that I really just gave you, the current projects and programs, the funding gaps that are coming, what we're able to provide to our member agencies, and that general understanding of collaboration across the region, which allows us to speak with a louder region of voice. The board saw value in continuing what we do. And so we worked with the ad hoc of the board of directors, which was all of these folks. Most of them are West Valley, but we also worked with the city manager's TAC ad hoc, which included Curtis. So he was able to give us some information and direction throughout this process. And we've actually come up with a pretty decent recommendation from the board of directors' perspective. So based on the information that we researched, the first thing we did was looked at Western Riverside Council of Governments, the Coachella Valley, and the San Gabriel Valley, because they are the closest neighbors that we have. And we looked at their budgets. Their budgets are much bigger than this. This is kind of after we pulled out all of the apples to apples information that, you know, we could compare from SBCOG's funding versus their funding. And so based on the budgets that we had reviewed, the average budget is about $3 million for their administrative costs. And when we looked at what we're spending, San Bernardino Council of Governments, we're spending about $658,000 for administration. So the increase that we're looking at is going to bump that up to $1.5 million for the entire county. And so that will be broken and allocated across the member jurisdictions, including Yucca Valley. So the current dues that Yucca Valley currently pays are $14,560 for the year, and our proposed increase would bring that up to $22,000. The current method that is used for assessing member agency dues, which is common across all councils of government, is a 50% population and 50% assessed valuation method. There have been 2 flat rate increases since 2016, and then we also utilize supplemental funds, again, from HERO and other grant programs to fund some of these projects in addition to the member dues. So the proposed changes that the board is interested in pursuing is to have baseline services that would be covered by these member dues. So essentially programs that apply to all jurisdictions, and then optional subscription services if there's some agencies in a sub-region, or if there's agencies that see the benefit of some type of program that doesn't necessarily include other agents, like all of them. And the one example that comes to mind is the housing trust. So we're working on implementing a housing trust currently, and there's only 11 of the jurisdictions that are interested in participating, so that would be a separate subscription. So the JPA would need to be modified as well, because based on the direction that we received both from the city managers and from the board, the method of 50% population and assessed valuation is outdated, and they don't like it. So we had to come up with alternatives. And what we provided was we provided 3, which I'm going to get into, but what the board finalized and approved was the 50% population and 50% general fund based sales and property tax revenues, and that's going to be our methodology moving forward. And then an annual cost increase according to the Consumer Price Index, or 2%, whichever is less. So the current programs and grants that Yucca Valley specifically has been awarded and participates in currently, they were awarded the Morongo Basin ATP for $200,000, which we helped write, and then the Subregional Gas Reduction, Greenhouse Gas Reduction Plan for $250,000, of which we actually put the toolkit together. And then there's other programs that Yucca Valley participated in, which included the REAP program. They are part of the IREN network. We are working on a Smart County Master Plan again. You are a part of the Emergency Communication Nurse System, and then there's interest in the Regional Housing Trust as well. So these are all of the things that you work on with us. And so that cost analysis, specifically for this jurisdiction, we looked at average full-time staff costs, and this is unburdened, this is just salary, is about $84,000 for the types of work that we do, where we're looking at planning staff specifically. And then the average consultant cost, based on the budget that we typically budget, is about $100,000. And so the recommendation process that we went through to get there, again, we looked at our sister agencies, what their process is. We looked at what our existing dues were and the amount per jurisdiction. And then we identified 3 options for that distribution of cost moving forward. The ad hoc was adamant about looking at 100% population. And then we looked at these other 2 as well to just kind of figure out what the fairest way to move forward was, and the board approved that, again, 50% population, 50% tax revenue. And then because we would be deviating from the current method, we would need to implement amendment number 4, which is what we're asking our member agencies to undertake. So the JPA currently requires that 50% population, 50% assessed valuation, and because we're moving away from that, it's required that we enter into that amendment. So the budget, again, is going to be that $1.5 million, and this is kind of the breakdown of what that looks like. We have existing staff, what the new staff would be, and then we're going to be hiring quite a bit of consultants. They're going to be doing the heavy lifting for most of the projects and programs that we would be implementing with our member agencies. But that would include things like project management. We would need to have liaison support. We, again, would need to implement a regional advocacy program, and then we would greatly expand our grant writing and coordination because we are really interested in bringing much more funds to this region. And then, again, most of that would be working through the consultants. Oops. And then the cost share. So this is a pie chart of all of the jurisdictions and what the cost share is going to be. I'm going to try and, yeah. Okay, so there's Yucca Valley right there. And what I really want to highlight here is that the county is almost paying a quarter of the entire cost, and really 5 jurisdictions are paying half of the entire 1.5 million cost, and then the remaining 20 are splitting the remaining half. So there's a pretty equitable distribution of what that cost is going to be. Now, we don't have a work plan set yet, and that's simply because we need to make sure that all of the member agencies are on board with this. So once all of the amendments are approved, we'll be working with our board and the city managers to identify what those projects and programs are going to be moving forward. But as a part of the process that we took with our ad hoc, we did identify projects and programs that other councils of government implement and really identified which ones would be options for the board moving forward. At least this is a place to start. And so our timeline, we received board approval back in January, and from then until April 30th, our member agencies will be needing to approve that amendment number 4 and the cost increase, and then the new due structure would begin on July 1st. And that is it.
Thank you, Monique. As the council considers any questions for Monique, I would just add 2 other comments. As part of the ad hoc's work, early on in the process, there were different iterations of what that program budget might be, and ultimately we landed on 1.5 million as the recommended place to start with 2 things in mind. Number 1, what we wanted to do is as we expand the capacity of the COG, we wanted to see deliverables and success stories. And so that's what we talked about in those meetings as a way then to demonstrate if it is appropriate for that COG to ultimately grow in capacity. And then secondly, not every community in San Bernardino County is the same, and our needs aren't the same. We have some very big players, we have some very small players. And so the subscription model of being able to identify certain tasks that the COG can do separately for those individual jurisdictions was very important to us. And so we're glad to see that that's moved forward and feel that I think the pie chart is really quite telling that in terms of Yucca Valley, we're getting pretty good bang for the buck, for sure.
I'd say, yeah. Is there any questions from the public? Or Monique? No? Anybody online? No? Council members?
Just a comment. I'm actually on SBCTA and also your representative for the town on the COG, and I work with Monique and the rest of the board. And when we looked at how this was modeled and the changes that were required for the visioning that all these communities have, our return on investment is quite impressive when you look at it. I believe it's like 68-1 or something has been the return. And when you just saw the presentation today, we were talking about $420,000 out of the 2 parts of $200,000 and $220,000. You know, that's given us already, our investment was only about $6,600, and that's what we've gotten so far for that small percentage when we're looking at 22,000 that's out there. So we get a lot more back than we're putting in, and that's the point of it, is that as a partnership and looking for funding streams to help these projects move forward, it's really beneficial for our community to be a player within the COG. And also, as Curtis mentioned, there are subscription plans, so when we have things that come up as we start to move forward on new projects, we're able to enhance the services of the COG. And that was a big part, is that they're increasing consultants, they're increasing their staffing, because it's a very challenging position to be in. Have to be very aggressive with those requests for funds. So I appreciate your work. Thank you, Monique, coming out and showing us some of those numbers.
Me too.
Mayor Pro Tem Droz?
I have no comment.
Okay. No? Okay. Thank you, Monique. Very good presentation. It was a lot of information. It's,
Sorry to
I'm glad we have
overwhelm
Councilmember Dennison looking as our representative. He's very knowledgeable on these things, and I'm sure he's a good contributor to what goes on there.
Mayor, be appropriate, after your comments there, be appropriate to take action to approve the amendment, if that's the desire of the council this evening.
All right. So I would seek that approval. Anybody want to make a motion?
Mayor, I'll move the item
Okay.
for approval.
Second?
I will second.
All righty. So it's been moved and seconded?
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes. Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All righty. On to item number 10, approve memorandum of understanding for vector control services, San Bernardino County Department of Public Health. Who is,
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, hello. The item before you is to approve the Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, for vector control services for the town of Yucca Valley. Again, it is so that the town council will approve that the town manager can sign the MOU and that we can enter into the contract services for them to provide services within the town. So some background on this is we've had a lot of, or I don't know about a lot, but in the past years, we've had calls from residents for vector control services. And recently, though, there has been an increase in those calls. So we did some digging around and we wanted to see what kind of services the county could provide as far as vector control services. And we found that the county does have a pretty robust mosquito and vector control program. So we put together a draft MOU that is before the council tonight. And what that MOU would entail would be that the county could provide comprehensive surveillance and control methods for mosquitoes and other vector populations within Yucca Valley. They would provide these services and that would protect the public health and preserve quality of life for residents and visitors. And they would include the monitoring and the controlling of mosquitoes, rodents, ticks, fleas, cockroaches, bed bugs, honeybees, and other animals or pests that could provide a public health nuisance or an issue. Part of the MOU, if it's approved, the county would provide, again, the routine service requests related to vector control issues. They would address vector and nuisance pest activity on private property by providing education and consultation. They would inspect the potential vector breeding places and determine presence of vectors and the actions and of steps that would need to be taken. They would also provide the abatement and the control of vector breeding in order to protect public health or to mitigate nuisance conditions. They would survey and trap and identify and do also disease testing of these vectors. And then they would also provide the town with monthly activity reports as well, letting us know what they're finding and what actions are being done. So the initial term for the MOU is 2 years and 3 months, so it will align with the town's fiscal year budget. So it would start on April 1st, 2024, and continue through June 30th, 2026. And the cost of the MOU or the contract price would be payable from Measure Y special revenue funds. And what I also have this evening is I want to introduce some folks from the San Bernardino County Department of Public Health Environmental Health Services Division. We have with us tonight Frank Becerra, who is the program coordinator, and also Romero Salazar, who is the supervising vector technician. And they're going to provide a small presentation that will expand upon the services that they can provide to the town and a little bit more information about their vector control services. So I'll turn it over to Frank.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Frank Becerra. I'm the program coordinator for the Mosquito and Vector Control Program for San Bernardino County. With me tonight is Ramiro Salazar. He's our supervising vector control technician. And I believe we have a PowerPoint as well.
There we go.
Okay, whoop. I swear I'm not doing anything.
Not touching it, huh? Uh-oh.
And we're done.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
Very efficient.
So while he's fixing that, the vector control program is part of Environmental Health Services, which is part of the Department of Public Health. Environmental Health Services has been in mosquito control for over 50 years here at the county. And the vector control program formed in the 80s to meet the emerging needs that we found with mosquito control. And later on, we grew to meet these challenges, including when West Nile virus first arrived. Thank you very much. When West Nile virus first arrived in the late 90s, Africanized honeybees, Aedes aegypti mosquitoes, which transmit Zika virus, chikungunya, dengue, and those. Next, a little nervous here. Yay, okay, great.
Okay.
So yeah, what do? We protect against vectors. Vectors basically are things that transmit diseases. And the primary focus of our program are mosquitoes. And like I mentioned, they transmit more commonly here, West Nile virus, but they are also potential carriers of Zika, chikungunya, and malaria, which I believe everyone has heard. Our services, so our vector technicians are the backbone of our program. They do inspections on water sources in the community that are capable of producing breeding of mosquitoes, and they will treat the sources that they find active breeding in. Additionally, they provide consultations and education. Education is one of the most important pieces of our program. We don't do a lot of chemical spraying and adulticide, we'll get into that in a minute, but we do like to use just what's necessary to mitigate the problem. So it's inspections, it's education, it's manual physical control, removing standing water, because standing stagnant water is what mosquitoes need to breed. So in the right temperatures, in as little as 6 or 7 days, a mosquito can go from egg to adult.
Wow.
So that's why we like to stay on top of it. We have a vector control technician in the area handling all the unincorporated areas out here. So that technician would take over the areas. And we check our water sources 2 times a month, and we respond to residential complaints, constituent complaints within 2 business days. Additionally, we also provide surveillance. So we have technicians and seasonal staff come out here and do testing. It may be dry ice, traps that we utilize, excuse me. We have several ways of trapping mosquitoes, and we can send them to our public health lab in Ontario to identify them, number 1, and then test them, number 2, for disease. So we like to do regular testing throughout. We're constantly altering our testing to make sure that we are putting our traps in locations that are going to quickly identify any problematic areas and inform our technicians of where to proceed. Also, I mentioned education. We educate. We love community events. Please invite us to anything that you have out here. We really there aren't enough vector technicians to solve a mosquito problem anywhere. We need to empower residents and educate kids. And we love working with children and youth because that's where it's at. That's where it happens. Think about when recycling first came around and it started in schools and your kids would come home and like, hey, don't throw that in the trash. You know, that's recycling. And now that's kind of ingrained in that generation growing up. And that's what we try to do with the kids. So if you notice the slide on the right, that's our Molly the mosquito. She's a hit at community events and schools, and we go out there and educate kids and become little vector detectors themselves. In addition to our in-person services for education, we have a robust social media campaign and activity, and we like to hone in on certain areas, that especially if we notice a problem emerging. Our surveillance results are indicating, or we're getting complaints indicating that we have complaints out of certain neighborhoods, we will target our social media on certain areas. We also work with local newspapers, community presses, releases, and do news releases to get the information out there. So basically, anyone who will listen to us, we will talk to you, and we'll talk to you in great depth. The folks that work in vector control are passionate, and we love talking about mosquitoes and other vectors. It's a little disturbing sometimes. So what's a vector? I mentioned it. It's something that transmits a disease. And so we're obviously concerned about these mosquitoes, but we're also concerned about nuisance pests, because the mosquitoes aren't all the time going to bite and transmit a disease. However, they do make life kind of miserable sometimes. We arrived in town earlier, so we had a little time to drive around, and we stopped at a mobile home park and talked to a resident there, and she quickly, as soon as she found out who we were, she had a story to tell. She kept us there for about 20 minutes talking about her problems. She was right behind the golf course, and how it affects her going out and enjoying her evenings. So mosquitoes make life miserable. Some people react more than others, and it alters their life. They feel like they can't come out at a certain time of day, and they stay inside. So that affects their happiness, their health, etc. So it's the deadliest creature in the world, mosquitoes are. Sharks always drive the fear into everyone, but mosquitoes, killing more than 700,000 people annually around the globe, mostly primarily through malaria. But locally, more of our problems seem to stem with West Nile virus, which is usually asymptomatic or no symptoms in people when they get infected. However, as we get older, or if those that have pre-existing conditions, a bite from an infected mosquito with West Nile virus can be deadly, and California did see several fatalities last year, a couple in San Bernardino County. So I want to talk about the mosquitoes that we have in this area, and this is the new kid on the block, the Aedes mosquitoes. Aedes aegypti is the one that we're finding more of in the county. It is a new arrival to California. It's invasive, arriving in the early 2000s, and in San Bernardino County around 2010, 2011. This is the mosquito that can transmit dengue, yellow fever, chikungunya, and Zika virus. So you may remember when Zika really kind of blew up around 2014, 2015. There was a big push and awareness campaign. Aedes, they're invasive, and if you see on the left, you see the picture of the disease that Zika can cause and where it affects the development of a baby when a pregnant mother is bit. They need very, very little water. A bottle cap's worth of water is all they need, which is why they thrive. They thrive with humans. So that's what we're finding in Morongo Valley, and you know, it's sparsely populated out here. So if it's in Morongo Valley, it's pretty much throughout San Bernardino County, anywhere humans are. And when we talked with the resident of the mobile home park today, she described, the bites she described were consistent with Aedes mosquitoes. Sometimes you hear these called ankle biters, day biters, or tiger mosquitoes sometimes. It's because they bite all times of the day. They're not like our native mosquitoes, which I'll talk about in a moment. They're bad flyers, so they fly low, which is why they usually go for ankles. So those are the ankle biters. As far as dengue, there was two locally acquired cases in Pasadena and Long Beach. So as conditions change around the earth and around San Bernardino County, the environment is more hospitable for Aedes mosquitoes, and that's why we need to be very aggressive in our response to it. Culex are our native mosquitoes. They are the ones that spread West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis, Eastern equine encephalitis, and we do every year have cases of those in the region. These are the traditional dawn and dusk biters, which is, you know, why it used to be safer going out in the daytime, and you never really expected to get bit by a mosquito during the daytime. However, now with the Aedes showing up on scene, it seems that no time is safe. They're found bringing in a little more standing water than the 80s need. So a bottle cap isn't really good for Culex mosquitoes. They need something a little bit more, that bucket that caught rainwater that you forgot you had in the backyard, or the green swimming pool, which can pump out thousands and thousands of Culex mosquitoes. And we are finding more green pools throughout San Bernardino County, especially as it gets more expensive to do everything, including maintaining a swimming pool. So we are very aggressive in our response to any mosquito-breeding habitat, especially green pools. So our process starts with notices of violations to the property owner, second notices, office hearings, and if that doesn't resolve the situation, we'll go out, we'll seek an abatement warrant, and we will pump the pool. We also have other vectors and pests, and rodents are probably, I think they plague everyone in every neighborhood. We're anticipating a few more rodent calls, especially after SB 1383 is incorporated more and food recycling becomes more commonplace, and you see food recycling and composting at curbside. Those are going to be perfect environments for rodents, flies, and insects to spread. So, again, we'll respond to complaints, especially from residents. We are a great resource for residents, especially when property owners do not take the proper steps to mitigate a nuisance pest. But we also empower the resident by enabling them to maintain a good condition, hygienic condition of their home that does not encourage pests to thrive at their property. So it's a two-way street. We're a resource for the residents, but we also help empower them. And we'll also provide courtesy inspections for homeowners and business owners to deal with anything. We're not private pest control for residents and homeowners, but we're always there to listen and provide a consultation. Bed bugs, we're seeing more of it. We get some complaints from hotels, motels especially, and even in other types of living arrangements around home. So unfortunately, we're seeing a rise in bed bugs as well. Ticks, will frequently do tick flagging, especially around areas where people recreate, especially around the foothills. Flies is another nuisance pest. We will go out and respond to that and try to identify the source, and then possibly send a notice of violation to the source. Oftentimes with flies, it's garbage being stored inappropriately, or maybe perhaps animal feces, which are not taken care of right away. And cockroaches, the same thing. Wherever we see rodents, we often see cockroaches, and vice versa. We do respond to bees, wasps, Africanized honeybees. We try to use the least invasive method possible, because we absolutely need bees, but if we have to mitigate the bees and take care of them, we absolutely will, if if they present a public health hazard. That is our program in a nutshell, and if you have any questions, we'd love to take them for you.
Very good. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to get more information, ask a question? Anybody online? All right. Any of the council members have any questions? Go ahead. Councilmember Dennison.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I know that over the years, I seem to see more mosquitoes and other vectors in our area. And I really appreciate you taking the time to go by and look at some of our off-the-beaten-path mobile home parks around the golf course, obviously areas that you would really focus on. One thing is I appreciate your reply to residents, 2 days. That's good. Now, would that also include any time? So if something happened on a Friday, they'd be out on Monday and be able to help them mitigate these issues?
Yeah, we can be out here on the Monday, especially if it's an urgent issue.
Okay.
Or if it's a life safety issue, like with life safety issues, they're typically with our bees. So
yeah,
we'll get out there. Again, we need the bees. oftentimes people report, oh, I have a hive right here. And it's just a swarm going and foraging throughout the day, so if you release them. We do get a lot of bee calls, especially from schools. And we do get a lot of mosquito calls from schools due to all the drains that they have on campus and irrigation of the
And the
fields.
educational programs that you spoke of, I think that is key. You know, participation is really, you know, the residents and property owners are going to look out around their specific area. And how is that presented, and what kind of education can they expect in our community, kind of tailored to us?
Exactly, it's tailored. So depending on age level. So we love reaching out to the little kids. They go crazy over Molly. And that's where we need to start that conversation and kind of say, being the vector detector, look at water. My background is public health, and I came into vector control a few years ago. And I do not look at water the same way. My head is always down. Ramiro, I'm not going to say how long he's been in vector control, but it's the majority of his life. And he always teases me, oh yeah, now you're one of us, now you're one of us. Standing water is everywhere, and that's what we try to instill in the kids and in everyone we talk to. When we get in the older ages, we take it a little more complex, and we're hoping to align some of our outreach to align with Ed Code, because it's very difficult getting on campus if you're not meeting some sort of requirement for local school districts. But if we can align it with Ed Code, especially anything with STEM, then we find our presentations, and we're just welcomed onto many more campuses. So we'll ratchet it up a little bit, talk about a little more sciencey things, maybe our trapping methods and things like that. For the concerned residents, we love going to neighborhood groups, neighborhood watches, community groups like everyone that attends here today, because we are, you're out there, you're the early adopters of everything. You're the first people to spread education. And so we'll be a little more empowering, telling you how to get a hold of our services. And what can you do around your home, and what can you do around your community? Some people do feel powerless. I had someone the other day who's a former councilman in San Bernardino say, I don't want to do this, but I got to let you know about this green pool in my block, because he knows that it's not only a nuisance, he knows it's potentially deadly.
It's a health
in the
hazard,
neighborhood.
yeah. And I know out here we have a lot of tires, so I'm looking forward to education on that to help support, the mitigation of those water traps that are everywhere. My last question is, when there's a vector that's potentially diseased and in the area, you talk about testing those for disease. How long does that turnaround take for us to find out?
So typically we'll send our mosquitoes in on Fridays, and the results will be done the next week. Our public health lab will collect all the samples and do one testing a week, and that's in line with most of the other vector control agencies throughout the state.
Okay.
Not every agency tests every week. We aim to test every week unless there's something that precludes that. Weather, we won't trap in weather. That's not good for trapping mosquitoes. But in our very active seasons, typically late March through October, depending on the weather, what type of weather we're having that year, we aim to have trapping every week.
All right, well, thank you for participating and presenting today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting us.
Mayor Pro Tem Droz.
Yes, I just want to ask you, well, first, I don't really think I want to ask anything, but I want to say that was really informative. You answered so many questions I've been wondering about, and I think this is great that you're going to be involved with the town, so thank you. I know a lot of people on social media, and a few people I know have complained about the mosquitoes, but me, myself, have experienced it also. And then, you're sleeping in bed and you hear it fly by your ear in the middle of the night. It's really weird. We never had that years ago, so things are changing. But thank you. I appreciate your great presentation.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Schooler? No? Councilmember Abel?
Yeah, thank you again for the presentation. I grew up, well, I didn't grow up, but I lived many years in Orange County, so my remembrance of vector control is helicopters coming through and doing a spray and going over the whole neighborhood. And I don't know if that was because of the protection of the citrus industry and all the trees, or what the situation was, but you're saying you're cutting back on aerial spraying and you're trying to do more spot spraying and so forth?
Exactly. So there's two things that may have been happening from your memories. If it's for the crops, it's going to be for the citrus pests. We currently have an outbreak, and that's handled through agriculture. Some districts do spray by air, and that's called adulticiding. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the adults, the ones that are already fully matured and in the air and causing you a problem. What we focus on is larviciding. So when they're in the larval stages in the standing water, we will treat that with bacteria most likely and prevent them from ever progressing into the adult stage. That's where our focus is. And if we can get rid of that standing water, mechanically dumping it or removing the barriers, that's great. If not, we move into a bacterial solution, that treatment. We also have mosquito fish. I forgot to mention mosquito fish. So if there are ponds in neighborhoods, we will bring out mosquito fish for them. Or sometimes with green pools, if we can't pump it right away or we're prohibited from pumping it, mosquito fish are an option because they will go through and eat all the mosquito larvae that are in that pond or pool. Adulticiding is the last option because it's not as effective, especially as mosquitoes develop resistance. And that's what we're concerned about because if the day comes when we do have an outbreak of a disease and we really need adulticiding, we want to make sure that the adulticide that we use is going to be as effective as possible. So we're very conservative with that, but we train on it every year. And we did, last year, we found a scenario that fit the requirements perfectly.
Ramiro, I guess you're living a kid's dream as a vector inspector and so forth. They mentioned before, and I found out before, I grew up in the Midwest, and so mosquitoes were quite dominant, and the humidity and all that. Why are we seeing an increase in the mosquito coming into this area? Because it's really been a free environment from mosquitoes for a number of years.
Yes. The world is getting smaller, and so as people travel, they bring along these hitchhikers.
Okay.
The 80s mosquitoes, that they don't fly very far, but they really have adapted to humans, so they will attach to our clothing or go into a car, and then from that neighborhood goes to another 200 miles away or 100 miles away, and now they're out and about. So it's just wherever humans are, they've adapted to us, and so they come along with us. So.
Okay. Yeah, and of course in the low desert, there's a lot more moisture there, a lot more golf courses, a lot more water features and so forth, and then people are coming to and from the low desert to here, whether they commute for work or they're visiting the area. So I can see the hitchhiker type situation where that would increase. How do you respond to, let's say, an apartment building that's complaining about rats and mice and so forth on a grand scale? Do you go in and treat that, or do you go in and cite the ownership of the apartment building?
We would first do our inspection, and then we would work with either the tenant or the property owner and educate them on rodent proofing the building. And then if it gets to a certain point where nothing is getting done or there's no progress, then we move to the next step, which is notice of violations and getting the property owners to comply.
Okay, thank you.
If a property owner is not, property owners should be providing the resources necessary to mitigate the problem. Pest control. Some property owners don't get the right level of pest control or the proper pest control, so we are there to, we're good judges to go there and see, oh, that's appropriate, or that's not appropriate, or just educate them. And sometimes even the property owners get taken advantage of. Some property owners we found are not very responsive. Some are responsive, but the residents aren't very cooperative. So we just try to, educate both parties, and, if a resident's not complying, there's not much we can do. If a property owner is not complying, there's a little bit more we can do going down the legal routes. But we try to get it done with education. I wanted to address your other comment about mosquitoes, why you're seeing a problem right now as the environment's changing, as people are getting closer and living in closer proximity. We also noticed a new housing development not too far from the high school. Everybody's living very, very close in proximity there. Everyone has their potted plants with saucers. We used to say dump and drain after the rain, dump and drain after the rain. Now we say dump, drain, and scrub, because Aedes will lay their eggs on the saucer walls or whatever walls, the bottle cap walls. Water comes and hits it, and they become viable. And so let's say the water dries out, but the eggs are still there. A couple seasons later, if water hits it again, they're still viable. Aedes eggs are viable for several years in the right conditions, which is why we say dump, drain, and scrub those eggs off. So in Morongo Valley, that kind of surprised us when we were pulling out Aedes last year for the first time. Imagine someone visited the San Gabriel Valley, went to a nursery out there, or a secondhand store, something where Aedes was allowed to lay their eggs on the side. They brought it home to their place in Morongo Valley, and then it spread from there. So that's how a transmission like that could have happened, and that's why I say they thrive with humans, and it just takes all of us to be the vector detectors.
Well, rodent control and pest control and so forth is one of the reasons why the town council chose to have mandatory trash service, because people were loading up trash on their premises, and it attracts rodents, and it gives them a food source, and then they weren't taking it right away to the landfills or so forth, and so it caused rodent issues throughout the neighborhood. So by us moving forward with mandatory trash, trying to reduce those likelihoods of people storing trash on site, we've seen an improvement, but I'm glad that the staff is recommending that we move forward with some additional things like, for the mosquito and so forth. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
All right. Okay. I want to thank you for your presentation. I was curious about places where you might interact with the public up here in Yucca Valley. And like we have a Earth Day, and I think that's coming up in, is it April or May? And it would, we have kind of like booths and that sort of thing. It would be a great time to see your little mosquito.
Yeah, please invite us.
And then also, we have a very active museum that has presentations done there, and if coordinated with the museum, that might be a nice place to explain to the populace about what we can do as community members to help spot and report or control the standing water and that sort of thing. It might be a good place for you to have some kind of a display.
That would be great. We would love to be invited to anything and everything.
Okay.
And we'll try to make it to whatever we can. We try to be in all areas of our service area.
Right.
We have lots of, we do attend several different Earth Day events, community events, street fairs.
Right.
We even went to a tortoise club out in Yucca. Anywhere people will listen to us. We, off the top of my head here in Yucca Valley, the school being one, and sometimes they have career fairs. So we'll send our educators out. We'll talk about vector control, but we'll also talk about what it takes to be not only vector control, but how do you get into being an environmental science, a registered environmental health specialist. So not all the jobs that we have require college. There's different levels, but we have seasonal opportunities, and we like to support that pipeline because we need a really good, strong pipeline workforce for us, and it needs to start as young as possible.
I think that's great, and bringing these ideas in front of younger people helps them form a worldview and gives them ideas for jobs and opportunities, and I think that's great. I want to thank you for your presentation. I think this is a really good use of Measure Y funds, and it does increase our quality of life here in Yucca Valley, so I think it's something we need to move forward with, and I'd like to move this forward.
I'll second.
All right.
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
On to item number 11, California Welcome Center operational update and funding requirements.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This item is an update for the council and the community on California Welcome Center. We haven't had the folks there present to the council or the community in a little while, so we thought it would be helpful, as well as potential funding increase for their operations. So this evening we have Kathy Amar going to walk you through that update, and there may be one or two slides that staff chimes in as well. So Kathy, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening to give you an update on what has been happening at your local California Welcome Center here in Yucca Valley.
I think I was going to take this first slide, and just as a reminder for the council on the existing arrangement that the town has entered into with Desert Regional Tourism Agency. It's primarily memorialized in a lease agreement for that site where the California Welcome Center is at. The scope of services includes all of the California Welcome Center operations. They take care of everything from the staffing, marketing, gift shop, and then try and identify and work and collaborate with the town as well as other regional players in meeting those tourism objectives. This is back prior, I think, even to 2005. I think it was probably around 2002, 2003 that the California Welcome Center was actually a division of the town of Yucca Valley, town staffed and town funded. At that time, that budget was about $104,000. And so that gives you a little bit of the scope of where it was and where it is today through the contract services. So with that, I'll turn it back to Kathy.
Thank you. A couple quick facts about the California Welcome Center in Yucca Valley. We are open 361 days a year, and our team is made up of 15 staff and volunteers. Majority of our staff is part-time. That takes 6,800 hours a year of paid staff and 1,450 hours per year of volunteers.
Wow.
Who is coming by the Welcome Center? In 2023, we helped over 22,000 guests with our travel plans. 4,300 people came in to see our gift shop. 1,560 came in for See's Candy. 193 used our Blink charging station. And we saw an increase this year of 31% of 1,271 international visitors. We're very happy to have our international visitors come back. In 2020, when we were during COVID, our visitation was down to 7,602 people. Last month, in January and February, we helped over 3,937 visitors. That's almost the entire amount that we helped in 2020 in just the last 2 months. This is a 12% increase from the same period from last year. So we're very happy to see that our visitors are back, our international travelers are back, and that people are discovering our local Welcome Center and coming in and seeing us. Our daily Hummer tours and bus tours are back. That brings in a lot of excitement when we see the Hummer tours pull up to the front and all the guests get out and they're getting ready to go off on their adventure for the day. Recently, we had a surprise visit from a Marine Corps base that brought in 54 Marines on their way to camp over to 29 Palms, and they stopped in and used our restrooms and shopped in our gift shop, and it was just a buzz to have all of the Marines around and see everybody in uniform. It was quite a treat. In January, I had the opportunity to go to Denver, Colorado with Greater Palm Springs and do a presentation and have a booth there to pass on our travel information to the folks in Denver. This is a great partnership with Visit Greater Palm Springs, and it's the second travel show that I've been able to attend on behalf of Yucca Valley to promote our area to visitors around the world. We met with consumers from all around the world to share information about our area and short-term rentals. It was also a great networking opportunity to meet with travel advisors and influencers in the area. Our virtual reality glasses were a huge hit. This was something new that Visit Greater Palm Springs brought this year, and it gave the guests a chance to take a mini vacation. It was about a 3-minute vacation. One of them happened to be Joshua Tree National Park and other area attractions. So I thank you for allowing me to go to these types of shows on your behalf and promote our information to other areas. Next month, actually next week, Visit California is doing their annual Outlook Forum conference. This is a yearly conference that Visit California puts on that hosts industry leaders from all around the world to share information on highlights and what's happening in the travel industry. Next week, we will have a booth there at the forum promoting our local area, having a small gift shop space available to sell local merchandise, and it's just a great networking opportunity, again, to share our local area with people from all around the world. Oops. Your local California Welcome Center is promoting local business. We have a variety of programs available to help promote local businesses. Our backlit panel campaigns continue to grow and generate revenue for the center. This is a great way to introduce our guests to over 100 local businesses that participate in campaign packages in the center, bringing in over $40,000 a year in yearly revenue. The slide on the right is our most recent campaign that we just finished for promoting all of the Yucca Valley campaigns. We have panels throughout the center that promote each and every community in the high desert. Joshua Tree National Park passes are now available at the Welcome Center. This has been a game changer for how we are able to help our guests when they come up to see us. As many of you know, the park is extremely crowded and guests were waiting sometimes 2 and 3 hours just to get into the park to buy their pass to enjoy their day in the park. Last year we were able to partner with the National Park Service, and now we are able to sell those passes right in our center. So far we have sold 399 passes, and this morning I looked up the latest figures. We've sold 77 passes in the last month. So this is a fantastic way to enhance the guest experience so that they're able to enjoy their time in the park and not wait in long lines. Our gift shop continues to grow. We have over 40 local artists that are featured in our store. Last year's revenue was $137,000 in gross revenue. This was a 32% increase from 2022. We are in the process of expanding our online e-commerce store. That should be coming soon. I just finished a 3-day seminar with Shopify and Etsy on how we can beef up our e-commerce platform and how we can bring in more sales through the online sales. Our art contest continues to be a very important part of our Welcome Center. It's a way that we're able to bring in new artists every year into our store. We celebrated our 5th year last year, and this is a statewide contest that anybody in the entire state of California is able to enter. Last year we received 96 entries, and this slide shows you the winners of all the 4 categories. Each artist is featured in the center for an entire year. Highway 62 Open Art Studio. As many of you know, the Art Council every year brings Highway 62 art tours into the area, and this brings a lot of visitors into the Morongo Basin. This year we have partnered with the art tours, and we are going to be the hub to be the major distribution center for the catalogs for their program. One of the questions we get asked most at the center is, are you going to be doing more events? Are you going to be hosting more things at the Welcome Center? At this time, it makes sense for us to partner with other agencies that are already doing successful programs in the area. Instead of reinventing the wheel, let's partner with those agencies that are already bringing tourists to the area and see how we can help them enhance their program. The art tours needed to work on their distribution to make sure that the catalogs were going to places that were the best use and that they were being passed out to all of the guests that are coming in. So we hope that we will be a major place for them to pick up their catalogs. They also needed somebody to help mail out catalogs to people out of the area, and the Welcome Center can certainly help with that. So just like we partnered with the National Park with helping with passes, we'll be partnering with art studios to help with their program in October, and anything else that we can do to make the guest experience that much better for our guests. A budgetary and economic recap. Our current funding is not sufficient to meet our current scope of work. As Curtis explained, in 2005, 19 years ago, it cost $104,000 to run the California Welcome Center. It's substantially more today. We've had some state mandated minimum wage increases of 23% since 2019, and our inflation is up 20% since 2019. We need additional funding that will help with the increased inflation costs of running a 7-day operation and additional state paid staff that will help keep up with the increased number of visitors coming into the area. Better signage along the highway is needed to direct visitors into the center and to stop by instead of just driving on their way into the park. And additional staff is needed to help with marketing and social media efforts. Desert Regional Tourism Agency that manages your local California Welcome Center has a dedicated team of staff, volunteers, and board of directors that are full of enthusiasm and ideas. Additional funding will help us to continue to grow. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the public? Nothing online? All right, council member Dennison.
Well, thank you, Kathy, for that presentation. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time because it's so broad. You know, the audience that you attract in trying to figure out the best fit for them in our area. And you kind of stole it at the very end. One of the things I was going to ask is what can we do as far as outside of funding to get the Welcome Center to be better recognized, to navigate in there, and you talked about signage. So that'd be something that I think would be very interesting to look at and talk to our Parks Recreational Cultural Commission and others about signage and how we can incorporate that into our community to kind of identify the beauty of our area, but also get people to you to point them in the right direction. So, but I just want to thank you for all your work and efforts there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Kathy, I just want to say thank you. As you know, I stop in there occasionally and usually to buy C's candy. And, but anyway, yeah, I'm one of the 1,300. Anyway, yeah, thanks for all you do. I'm always mesmerized when I go in there. Everything changes, but everything looks really great, and we refer people in there all the time. So anyway, thanks for everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Schooler.
Great presentation, Kathy. That was very compelling. I have a question about the health of the California Welcome Center program in general. How many are there in the state now?
19.
There's 19. Okay, so that really hasn't grown since we came on board.
We lost about 5 or 6 welcome centers during COVID, and they're slowly coming back one at a time.
Okay.
One of the things that makes our welcome center different from all the other welcome centers is the new welcome centers that are opening seem to be opening in outlet malls and places that draw in a lot of traffic, like the Cabazon Outlet Mall and Ontario Mills and Los Angeles at the Citadel outlets. I like to say that we're a unique welcome center where you have to come in and see us because you want to, not because you're walking by and you happen to be going by our booth or go at the outlet malls and see us. You're getting out of your car, you're coming in, you're using our restrooms, you're using our services, you're getting a map, and you're talking to our staff about what to do in the area. So I think that we really do stand out from a lot of the other welcome centers in that aspect. And but for square footage, I believe we are one of the largest welcome centers in all of the 19.
Yeah, we've come a long way from the early days. I remember that. I like the cooperation with Joshua Tree National Park and selling passes. Is there any other nexus with the park that we could or should be doing?
Not at this time, but we are always talking to them about ways that we can help more. Last week, one of the rangers came by and showed us a new app that the National Park Service just came out with, and so that is something that we are sharing with our guests. They've improved it over the last couple months, and you can download it onto your phone, and it'll take you from the Welcome Center to that one specific trail that you want to go on and give you all the information that you need. So really everything that is on the website and everything we have in our center for the national park is now available at your fingertips through that app that they recently put out. So we'll be sharing all that information with our guests as they come in as well.
Okay, great. And I really like how you're engaging the art community, the local art community with the Welcome Center. It seems like you've got a pretty unique and valuable niche in the community. So thanks for all the hard work for you and your staff and your volunteers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Schooler.
Thank you.
Great presentation, Kathy. That was very compelling. I have a question about the
Councilmember Abel?
Yeah, I'm always impressed when I go in because the quality of the merchandise that's in the Welcome Center is quite wonderful. And like you said, a lot of local artists are in there and so forth. And I think it really makes sense to offer the national park passes because they're on vacation, they're visiting the park, and they want a memento, and it's a perfect combination. Get them in, sell them the pass, and they probably pick up merchandise. So it'd be interesting to keep track of how many come in to buy a pass and how many end up buying a secondary item. The local artists and so forth are, a lot of what you have to do is merchandising, and that's a very tricky thing because things are good sellers and not and so forth. Do you do things with local artists on consignment? That way you're not outlaying a bunch of money and you do a consignment type of thing? How do you approach that?
We offer consignment in the store. We have over 40 local artists that have things on consignment, but then I also am the buyer for the gift shop as well too. So the things I'd like to keep on consignment are unique items that you can't find anywhere else, or maybe something that maybe isn't necessarily my taste and what I think will sell, but might be trendy and might be hip with our guests that are coming into the area. I don't know if any of you have been into the center before, but in the hallway we have these really fun, funky pillows and dolls that hang on the wall. And when they came in, I went, oh my gosh, this is horrible. What is this in here? It is one of our top sellers because it's homemade, it's unique, it's bright, vibrant and fun. And so it doesn't have to be what I like, it has to be what the guests are looking for. So our consignment really helps us with that, bring in different ideas and different things that would sell in the store.
Yeah, and I agree with Councilmember Dennison about perhaps signage or things to promote people coming in. I know you've done art festivals before and pop-up booths and so on and brought people to the area. Sort of windy on that particular day, but that can happen. Other things that we can think of like a sculpture garden or some type of thing to attract visitors to stop, take pictures, or that bus company that stops and drops off people because they know is a home run with the people on the buses. So I don't know if you reach out to those bus lines, give them promotions, give them discounts, give the driver a free, soda or whatever to try to get them to come and stop. But we're open to hear anything we can to bring people in. The other thing I like is that you're working with Airbnbs and trying to educate people about treading lightly on our desert and how to be a good neighbor and that you're not going to shoot off fireworks, in the neighborhoods and so forth. So we have the tourism now. We just need to educate our tourists and also support the local artists. So congratulations on doing a great job.
Thank you.
All right, Kathy, thank you for your presentation. It's been fun to see your involvement in the Welcome Center, and you've really taken it to new heights. You put a lot of effort in it, and we can see your enthusiasm. It's really nice to see. It's been a good thing for Yucca Valley, and I think the council should be proud of the investment that we made a long time back when we first said, we got to start increasing tourism. And I think it's really grown, and it's returned a good bit to the town and added a lot to our enjoyment of our environment. New people are always, they bring with them a certain energy that helps us be a better community. And it's good to see it growing. So thank you very much. I would take
Mayor, if you're ready, I'd like to
Even
go ahead
file,
and
it's
make
not really a vote. No.
receive and file the presentation that we received, and also to approve the recommended funding increase of $50,000 for the operations of the California Welcome Center for fiscal year 23-24.
All right. Need a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Kathy, before we take a vote, I had a quick question. Magazines like Westways Magazine, some of those travel magazines and so forth, you talk about we're probably, I don't know if they have an award for the best welcome center in California, but any kind of publicity like that. But like Westways Magazine, it might be reaching out to them about doing a feature about welcome centers and about being one of the largest ones in the Joshua Tree area. I mean, things like that could really help as far as bringing people, because I know I look at those magazines and I'm like, okay, that restaurant I'm going to go to when I'm in San Bernardino, or when I go down to San Diego, I'm going to go there. So, that's just an idea too, trying to get into those travel magazines about our
Absolutely.
Welcome Center.
Great idea, thank you.
It's pretty amazing. I remember traveling on an airplane, opening up the American Airlines, travel magazine that they give you when you're sitting there, and there's Yucca Valley Welcome Center. I mean, wow, I was blown away. I thought that was pretty cool. Okay.
We have a first and second.
We ready? We got a first, or a motion and a second?
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All righty. We're on to item number 12, which I'm kind of excited about, the Public Art Utility Box Program Selection of Art. Let's hear all about it.
Yes, Mayor Lombardo and Town Council members, I'm just going to introduce this item. I just wanted to say how proud I am of the staff, our Recreation Supervisor Clayton Raridan and our Recreation Coordinator Tommy Jones, who lead these programs. This is, of course, new for us. But we're making our way through these programs. We do have a recommendation from your Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission on the Utility Box Enhancement Program. So I'd like to introduce Clayton to go through that recommendation with you. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Hey, Clayton. Welcome.
Council, Honorable Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. Let's see. So the Public Art Program represents the town's desire to enhance its identity as an artistic community. The program is intended that the town of Yucca Valley, through its Public Arts Program, will celebrate its artistic heritage and art community, as well as embrace cultural responsibilities and guarantee future generations a rich artistic legacy throughout the acquisition or exhibition of quality works of art. The recommendation before you this evening is that the council approve and accept the recommendation of the PRCC for the submission of the selected artworks as the art installation for the Utility Box Program artworks. Little background, in 2022, the town council voted in favor of the recommendation of the PRCC approving the 2022 public art policy and pilot programs, of which this is a part. This is part of the Art in Daily Lives. So we've had 3 successful, or this represents the 3rd successful piece of the public art program and the 2nd in the Art in Daily Lives. We had the Yucca Valley Film Festival enhancement, and then recently we just installed the Library Plaza art sculpture, and then this is number 3, so the Utility Box Program. The timeline, November 2nd to December 4th, we had a call for artists, spent about a month, then that went to the PRCC, 30-day public comment period, back to the PRCC for review, and then here we are today. We aim to install the vinyl wraps at the end of March and beginning of April. So here's the first one, artist Chloe Allred. We have a little bio. She is a tenure track professor at CMC, and her works range from surreal portraits to whimsical still life paintings. On the right-hand side, we have all of the public comment from that 30-day open period. The total for this was about 33 comments. That was up almost 3 times what we had on the previous one. So, oops. Chloe Allred was selected for a second piece as well. This is When Our Eyes Met, Coyote, and again, some more of the public comment. The third piece that we have for you is Ken Lee, local photographer, When the Light Goes Down in the Desert. He also has an exhibit at the High Desert Nature Museum right now. So it's in its final weeks or days of that exhibit. Julie Peasley, Day, Stars, Night, Suns, a digital artist and a kind of different take compared to some of the other pieces. And then Sherry Scott, JT, Morning, Noon, Night. And then a second piece from Sherry Scott as well, The Dance, Boulders, Mountains, and Trails, with some more of the comments on the side. So again, thank you to all the artists that participated. These are the the 6 pieces that were submitted that were not selected in this round. But we appreciate everybody that came out and submitted something. And again, the recommendation is that the council approve and accept the recommendation of the PRCC for the submission of the selected artworks. So I am happy to answer any questions after public comment, and we also have Sherry Scott here in the audience if you'd like to ask her any questions as well.
Very good. Is there anybody in the public wishing to comment? Come on. Step to the podium and state your
Sherry
name,
Scott.
city of
Hi,
residence.
I'm Sherry. I just wanted to thank all of you. It's a great opportunity to do this. I'm involved with a lot of the local galleries, and so we're very excited about the project.
Very good. Is there anybody in the public that wants to comment? Anybody online? Wow, quiet crowd. Okay. Anybody at the council table here?
I just wanted to say thank you very much for putting the agenda packet together. There was a lot of great information that complemented the artwork. I think a lot of it allowed me, not being very much into the arts, but more utilitarian for me, but I learned a lot because of the comments that were allowed to be presented and included in there. Some of them talked about maybe it didn't have anything to do with the desert, but if you dug in deep enough, it did, because of the texture or the colors or the theme or the relation. And that's really something that made me think about the art pieces. And I love every single one of them. It's really going to be a good springboard into something that'll make the town more beautiful. And thank you for your contribution.
Yes, once it's publicized, I do hope to bring up some of the narrative of it, because some of the work was shown at the Joshua Tree National Park store, and it was part of their dark sky ordinance, showing the Joshua Tree morning, noon, and night. So it's part of that exhibit.
Yeah, it was. I think the colors that you used of the yellow on each end as a full cycle, starting, going through the phases, and then
Yeah, it's
it
fun to
comes
see
back
it all.
again. Yeah, it's very secular.
Thank
It's
you.
very, very neat, clever.
Thanks.
I love it. Thanks.
Councilman Pedros?
Yeah, I just want to say I was entertained looking at all the pictures and, not the pictures, all the artwork and all the comments. It was kind of neat to see that there's some dissenting comments, but that shows that it kind of fits everybody. Everybody looks at art in a different way. So, when you look at all of the art up there, they're a little different. And so anyway, thank you for doing that. It's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, Clayton, I'm pretty excited that we got so many artists that were submitting artwork. And of course, with the utility box program, the PRCC was really excited about bringing that forward. So thank you for doing that. You said there were six artists that didn't make the cut. Is that after the public comment, or did they get screened from the PRCC? How did that work?
So the public art policy is laid out in a way where we take the submissions to the PRCC, then the public art policy has them select something. Basically, their recommendation to council has to go through a 30-day public comment period, review those comments, and then ratify their decision to bring that to you.
So the screening process was with PRCC after the submissions, then public comment, then the PRCC looks at the public comment, decides if they want to continue with the recommendation, and then move it forward.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes. Well, wonderful. Thank you again for participating. Appreciate it. And I can't wait till they get installed. So, and I saw we picked some very high traffic areas, so get good visibility, and hopefully you will inspire other artists. I know I've seen at the high school some very talented young people and also students that could produce great artwork, but I think this is real good quality and it's a great first submission. So very excited about it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm anxious to see how these what it looks like when they're actually on boxes. Can you explain that wrap procedure, how we go from here to there?
Yes, so we've already worked with SoCal Edison's rep for this area. We've done all the paperwork that we need to do. Everything's gone back and forth. All the signatures are buttoned up. After the last phase, we went through and submitted the selections to this point, just for them to be able to approve or give us any feedback. There are some criteria. They do have some amount of leeway on what they will and will not allow in their boxes. They gave us the green light for the artwork. We let them know what boxes we wanted to wrap. They went out and inspected those boxes, gave us the green light on those as well. So in the next steps, there might be some minor trimming and fitting where town staff will collaborate with the artist. We'll get everything squared away, and then we'll have a vinyl wrap vendor that will produce the artwork, and we'll go out with the vendor rep from SCE and one by one knock them out over the next couple weeks.
So it's going to be up and running in a couple of weeks?
We've got to, I guess, March 25th to April 5th is what the window that we have right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess
Okay.
end of the month, sorry. A couple weeks, misspoke.
All right, we can live with that. That's
Okay.
good. All right, thank you. Thanks for all the work.
I just want to thank Commissioner Ed Kiesling back there. He's on our PRCC, and I'm sure that he had a difficult time selecting some of the ones that we started our program with. So thank you for making the hard decisions for us.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. It's really rewarding to see it happen so relatively quickly, and it's going to be on by the end of next month. Wow, that's awesome. So we're really excited about it. And there's lots of other opportunities in town for boxes as well. We just picked the first 6 that are in more high traffic areas and more visible. I think guys are doing fantastic work. Thank you so much. It's nice to see the collaboration between members of the community and the art community, and it's just rewarding and exciting. It's a good step forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
And Mayor, I'll move the item.
Okay. I'll second.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sherry, for visiting with us this evening. So the recommendation is that the town council accepts the recommendation of the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Commission and approves the selected art submissions for the utility box program. So that's the action we're looking for this evening.
We had a
motion, Schooler.
Motion and a second. We're ready to roll.
Councilmembers Abel,
Yes.
Dennison,
Yes.
Droz,
Yes.
Schooler,
Yes.
and Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All right. On to item number 13.
Most fun item. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before you tonight is the townwide Slurry Cape Seal project. That is award of a contract. And the recommendation before you tonight is to approve the award of a construction contract with American Asphalt South, Inc. in the amount of $1,715,165 to construct the townwide Slurry Cape Seal project, and to authorize the construction contingencies and inspection costs in the amount of $1.91 million, and authorize the mayor, town manager, and town attorney to execute the agreement, and authorize the town manager or designee to expend the contingency fund if necessary for the project completion. On January, just a background on the project, on January 16, 2024, the town council adopted resolution number 24-02, approving plans, specifications, and estimates for the construction of the townwide Slurry Cape Seal project, town project number 7037-8340, and authorized the town clerk to advertise and receive bids. The annual maintenance effort that is a part of the town's overall pavement maintenance program. This effort is implemented to extend the lifetime of the roadway pavement throughout the town prior to roads deteriorating to the degree where the road construction is necessary. The annual project generally consists of applying a type 2 or what we call type 3 slurry seal, and of course replacement of all the striping and the damaged raised pavement markers. This is a map that shows the project for this year. We're looking at about 4.7 million square foot of slurry seal. The blue color is the Cape Seal, and the yellow color is the slurry seal itself. So this is the area where the Paradise Park is, Barron Road coming down. We're crossing the highway. This is where the Walmart is. We are tackling all of the neighborhoods in that area. Going down, this is where our yard is, and that is La Contenda. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah? Yes. Oops. And this is the neighborhood that is to the south of Yucca Trail, going all the way down to all the way to the other end of town. So this is, like I said, the yellow is the slurry seal program, and the blue is the Cape Seal program. So we have received 5 bids on this project, range between 1.715 to 2.607 600. We evaluated all the bids. The town reviewed it, all of them, and we determined that the American Asphalt South Incorporated is the lowest responsible and responsive bidder in the total bid amount of 1.715165. If awarded by the town council, construction work is anticipated to start in May of 2024 and completed by August. We would like to, August, that is when the school is out, so that is when the piece on La Contenda where the school is, that is, we can do it at the end. The funding for this project came from different sources. Measure I has contributed some money. And then we have RMRA SB1 funding, both for streets and for the Package D sewer, which is what we are be covering this year. And of course, a couple of measure-wise funding that was identified to do for the project. The funding, as you can see, that is the construction is 1.715165. Construction contingency of about $174,835. And then $20,000 for inspection and engineering, for a total of $1,910,000. And the funding came from Measure I of about $649,000. RMRA fund, which is a $695,963, and SB1 fund for Package D, which is a $250,000, with Measure Y use of $315,037. That is that the recommendation before you tonight is that to approve the award of the construction contract with American Asphalt South, Inc. in the amount of $1,715,165 to construct the townwide slurry Cape Seal. And then second is to authorize construction and construction contingency and inspection cost in the amount of $1,910,000, and authorize the mayor, the town manager, and the town attorney to execute the agreement, and authorize the town manager or designate to expend the contingency funds if necessary, if project completion. That concludes staff report, and we'll be more happy to answer any question following public comments.
Okay. Is there anybody in the public wishing to comment on this item? We all get some nice new roads out of the deal. Nobody's excited. Okay. Anybody online? No? Okay. Back at council.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to, I love the presentation. Thank you, American Asphalt. They'll be getting that project done, I think, starting May. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I'm very appreciative. I'm very appreciative to the town supporting us with Measure Y, allowing us to improve the roads in our area and many other projects. But Measure Y is a critical funding component of this, and I'm very thankful for our community supporting us.
No comment? Any comment?
Thank you for working around thinking about working around the school.
Yes.
That always is a hot topic issue with people.
Always.
I know this is the Cape Seal and Slurry Seal project. How do you deal with the crack seal project? Is it as need basis? Because, I'm out there running on the roads and I see some great roads that have some pretty wide cracks.
So part of this project is to do the crack sealing. So there is the cracks is usually different in width. So the public works staff go ahead and deal with the big cracks. They fill them up before the project started, and we're going to be doing this week. And then the contractor responsibility is to fill the small cracks, 2 inches and
Yeah, and I understand that for this project,
Yes.
but as far as the other roads and so forth, what's the program for that?
As we go with the project that is like we come up with a project of that magnitude, we add the crack sealing to these projects.
So in the meantime, if we identify a few roads that need sealing, we can address those?
That's correct.
Okay.
Anything? Okay. I'm always excited to see nice roads. Makes the town look fresh and new. Good job. And once again, Measure Y funds are really helping us deliver a better quality of life, and roads are a big part of that. So thank you very much. And let's have a motion.
I'll move the item as presented by staff.
Dennison will second.
Okay.
Councilmembers Abel.
Yes.
Dennison.
Yes.
Droz.
Yes.
Schooler.
Yes.
And Mayor Lombardo.
Yes. All righty, on to the last item, number 14, Cal City's strategic priorities and governor's fiscal year 24-25 state budget update. Who's going to be?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your patience tonight as we work through some more nebulous items like Council of Governments and mosquitoes and vectors. Kind of in that same category as the governor's budget update, but quite frankly, this will be relatively short. The process for the state budget is extensive, and it starts in January and doesn't end until usually summer trailer bills in the middle of summer, when people may or may not be paying attention. So that aside, it's important for us to stay engaged with the state budget process because potentially, if past precedent is any indication, it can have an effect on local revenues, and that's really what we need to be mindful of. The LAO's office in the fall of '23 had indicated that there was going to be a significant budget deficit for the upcoming year. In January, that was somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 billion at the time. The governor in January proposed his initial budget and had identified a budget deficit of about 37 billion. So quite a bit different than what the LAO's office, the independent office, was indicating. Just a couple of weeks ago, the LAO provided another update, and they had indicated that not only was the budget going to be a problem, it was further deteriorating. So they indicated that on top of the $58 billion that they had already identified, they thought that it was going to be an additional $24 billion below the governor's budget in January that he had identified. So they're projecting right now a budget deficit somewhere between $58 billion and $73 billion. A lot of that, you'll recall, is normalization, I guess we would call it, from the influx of federal spending that came in through both COVID as well as Inflation Reduction Act. So as those programs normalize, I think that's probably normal, but everything's on the table, and I think that's really what we will be keeping an eye on. In your agenda packet, in the last pages, starting at about 373 through 379, there's a number of charts that identify where the Legislative Analyst's Office suggests that savings can come from, and they affect programs potentially that can have an impact either directly or indirectly on the town. As an example, on stamp page 378, the Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention Program, known as HAP program, they do various cycles of funding. So HAP 5 is identified as a potential cut. That is direct funding in prior cycles of HAP that went to Morongo Basin Arch for provision of homeless services in the Morongo Basin. So just an example of kind of what is identified and how ultimately it can funnel down to impacts here in the Morongo Basin. There are a number of other categories affecting unspent monies from prior years. If they're not spent, they can come back and claw those back. Right now, in evaluating where we're at, what our funding sources are, I think Really, the only unspent funds that we have is related to the Prop 68. It's a specified grant for our Yucca Valley Aquatics and Rec Center. We feel relatively confident, I think as confident as we could, that those are secured by contract with the Department of Parks. And so outside of that, I think that at this point, none of the proposals we've seen have a direct impact, but we'll keep an eye on it. It will likely be ongoing conversations between town staff and the council and the community and let you know what, if any, impacts might be coming down the line. But it does look like that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for the state, and we'll just have to be aware as they go through that process. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Any comments from the public? Nope, nothing online. Okay, anybody want to comment on this? No? 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 Okay. We're really not interested. We'll keep pay attention to it. Future agenda items. Does anybody have anything for future agenda items? No. I do. I'd kind of like to. In the recent past, we've been looking at the Old Town area, and we've got that plan for that parking area and some improvements in Old Town. And I'd kind of like to get an update of what the Old Town specific plan is and review it to make sure that it's current and that we are moving in a direction that we want to on the Old Town specific plan. And would like to see if there's any support for that idea to have us updated on that information from our staff.
Would that be the Old Town specific plan or just what's going on down there in Old Town? I think that
kind of a review of the specific plan to see that it's still where we want to go. We have some changes that are going on in that area, and I just want to make sure that we have a concept of where we want to go overall, because we're doing the changes in phases of the Old Town specific plan. Am I on the right track with it?
Yeah, I think it's appropriate based on some of the activity that we have down there. Just a reminder of some of the principal points that are included in the specific plan, maybe how that differs from some of your other general commercial areas. So we'd be happy to put that together, maybe in a written form for the council. And then once you get that, you can identify if there's any subsequent action that you might want.
It gives us an opportunity to see if we want to incorporate any other things, like maybe now that we're talking more about murals or public art, or those kind of things can be added into the area as well. We may not have been doing that at the time when it was first originated. That was first excuse me, the Old Town specific plan was from 2014? Earlier than that.
Oh yeah, that was mid-2000s.
Way before that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it probably needs to be looked at. Been a long time
But
back.
I support that. We've had given a lot of direction that would apply to the Old Town area, and we may want to see how it would be applied.
And it's becoming more vital, and I want to make sure that we're not doing anything to inhibit it.
So, thank you.
Just as for planning purposes, we have a number of policy issues that we're working through, so I would guess, I'm not going to put Shane on the spot here, but it will take us some time to go through there and provide a high-level summary, and then I think based on that then would be any subsequent dives from
You guys got a lot on your plates right now, so we don't want to overtax you, but it's something that would help. Public comment. This is the time the town council takes this time to consider your comments on items of concern which are not on the agenda. When you are called to speak, please state your name and community of residence. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Inappropriate behavior which disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting will result in forfeiture of your public comment privilege. The town council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not on the printed agenda. But at this time, we encourage you to come forward and speak what's on your mind about any subject at all. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make a comment on anything at all? Please come forward, Ed. How are you doing?
Evening. My name is Ed Kiesling, and I'm director for the High Desert Artists Corporation. And recently, after the last rain, the property next to the property that we're developing into an art center is below the street level and flooded. And the flooding in that property seeped into the west wall of our building and did some damage there at the building. And so our building coordinator talked to the town about contacting the owner of the property, and I just wanted to thank the town for taking action on that. Apparently the property owner was contacted, and 2 days ago, the day after the code enforcement person left, the property owner's maintenance person showed up and cleaned up the lot, and so thank you very much for help with that. The second thing I would like to compliment the town council on selecting the electric boxes. I think you guys made a good decision, and I really appreciate the support for the arts program. So good going. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments. Anybody else wish to comment? Is there anybody online wishing to comment? All right. Back to mayor and council member reports and comments. Anybody have any comments they want to make tonight?
We might have just a couple of staff comments, if it's okay, Mayor.
I'm sorry. I cut you guys out, didn't I?
Captain, you have anything this evening?
Just briefly, my fire department partners mentioned the Explorer program that they have and their woes after COVID of recruiting. So just prior to heading over here, I'm happy to announce that I swore in 2 more teenagers today into our Explorer program. So we are up to 6, which doesn't sound very impressive, but about 6 months ago we were at 0. So we're gearing up, and then we're going to use them as recruiters. So I know last meeting you heard from our sheriff's service specialist about our Citizens on Patrol program, and this is another crucial volunteer aspect for your police services, and it's really shows good job opportunities, leadership, and whether they choose to get into law enforcement or not, great opportunity for our youth. So we seem to always be in a competition with our friends at the fire department, but I'm the last one here, so I can tell you the sheriff's department Explorers are better. And then lastly, last meeting, I briefed you on our hit and run that we had here in Yucca Valley on January the 26th, and that we had a pending court date for our suspect in that case to surrender. That all went according to plan last Tuesday. The suspect did surrender, and instead of the scheduled $75,000 bail, the judge put a bail of $500,000. The suspect did bail out of custody, but as per the judge's orders, is on an ankle monitor pending future court dates on that case. So we'll keep you posted, but that's very good for the community. And again, it was phenomenal detective work to put that case together. So hopefully the family can have a bit of closure as the court proceedings continue.
Okay.
Thanks, Captain. Appreciate that. Alex or Deborah, anything?
Just have a quick reminder, don't forget to change your clocks this weekend.
Oh, thank you. Totally forgot.
Just to let you know that is this Thursday we'll be opening the bids for the aquatic center. So if it all go well, you will see a recommendation in the next council meeting. So crossing our fingers. Thank you.
That's
Thanks,
exciting.
Alex. Yeah, it is exciting. Jessica?
Yeah, I wanted to let the council know that the town, in conjunction with Burtech, has planned a couple of community events at the Burtech transfer station. On Saturday, April 6th, we're going to have a community shredding day. So people can bring their papers, their documents, whatever they want to have shredded, and they can bring it there and they'll get it shredded for free. And that will be from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, April the 6th. And then also we already have planned a community cleanup day on Saturday, May 4th from 8 to 11:30 also. So we're going to try and have these community cleanup events twice a year like we used to, now that Burtech has their transfer station open, and we're taking advantage of that location. So I wanted to let the council know about that. And flyers and social media and all of that will be going out pretty quickly.
Thanks, Jess, appreciate that. Sue, anything? All right, Shane? Okay. Tom? All right, I think that's it, Mayor.
All
Mayor,
right.
can I just follow up with Jessica, please? On the shred event at Burtech, is there a limit for residents of how many can each resident bring for that?
Yeah, it's going to be limited to 4 boxes, 4 banker-sized boxes, you know, not the huge U-Haul boxes, but like a banker-sized box and 4.
Okay.
So that, which is pretty good, because I think most of the shredding events are limited to around 2.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Very good. Will they be able to handle more boxes at a fee, or is it just for free?
Probably not this time. So, because this is our first event ever, we've never had a shredding event with Burtech before in the town ever. So, or at least since I've been here. So, it'll be our first event. So we'll see how it goes, and then perhaps we can add some different services to it next time.
Okay. Good time to get rid of all those pesky tax files and.
Yeah, spring isn't here, so, you know, or it's coming pretty quickly. So spring cleaning is on everyone's mind.
All right, that's awesome. Okay, all done then with staff comments? Yes, sir. Okay. Councilmember Abel? Nope. Councilmember Dennison?
Just quickly want to thank John Bobrowski for bringing the Miss Yucca Valley and her court to visit us today. I really appreciated that. And a welcome to Assistant Chief Villarino for coming to Yucca Valley. I think he'll do a fantastic job here. Chief Tuttle was very complimentary of him and has worked with him for quite some time. So that's a big part of our public safety team, along with the captain and his team out there. Your Explorer program is it the same age range of 14 to 18?
Ours is 15 to 20 and a half, and the thought is at 21, you can be a peace officer in California, and the academy takes you 6 months. So if you turn 20 and a half and you're still not up for applying to be a deputy sheriff, then you would roll into our Citizens on Patrol program.
But what a great opportunity for a career out
Absolutely.
here. And also on your, you had talked about the Explorers and also our Citizens on Patrol. I appreciate the ongoing commitment to them and their service to our community. We want to keep them safe and out there, be able to do their job, and hopefully those numbers will go up even more as talked about last meeting.
Absolutely.
So I thank you for that. Other than that, that's all I have today. Thank you.
Very good. Councilmember Schooler, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to check on that. What time of day are we doing the bid opening on Thursday?
3 p.m.
3 p.m. Okay, thank you. And then just congratulations to Rachel Gibbs and her court, Miss Yucca Valley, and also to John Bobrowski and the Rotary Club for keeping that tradition going. That's one of those community things that makes us feel a little bit more like a community, and just glad that they keep doing that. And welcome to Chief Villarino and yeah, good reports tonight. Thank you.
All righty. Mayor Pro Tem Droz?
Pretty much ditto to everything everybody said, and I hope everybody survived without much wind damage. That was quite a storm the other night. And Alex, with all of the artsy stuff we're talking about, it's like, remember, the town's roads are your palette. So every road you pave. So.
Good vision.
All right. Anyway, everybody.
Crazy with the colors.
Yeah. Anyway, have a good week. 2 weeks, everybody.
All righty. Thank you. Creative comments. Very good. I want to congratulate the Miss Yucca Valley and her court, and heartfelt thank you to George Huntington for all his service and involvement in the Oversight Committee. It's great to meet the new fire chief, Bill Villarino, right? Villarino. And I'm wishing the fire chief that retired, Scott Tuttle, wishing him a happy retirement and enjoy it, a wonderful time. He's worked hard and he's been a great service to Yucca Valley and the communities, and he deserves a good long retirement. So excited for him on that. The next regular meeting of the Yucca Valley Town Council will be held on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, here at 6 p.m. in the Yucca Valley Community Center room, Yucca Room. So until then, adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.